Upgrades.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today, we're bringing you the latest film from Shudder and RLE Entertainment, and this one is called Clown in the Cornfield. Here's a quick synopsis. Looking for a fresh start, Quinn and her father moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs. They soon learn the fractured community has fallen on hard times after losing a treasured faculty to a fire. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister grinning clown emerges from the cornfield to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. That synopsis sounds crazy. But this is directed by Eli Craig. It stars Katie Douglas, Aaron Abrams, Carson MacCormac, Kevin Durant, and Will Sasso. First, I'll say I knew nothing about Clown in the Cornfield before this movie. The title alone caught my attention, only for me to do research on it to find out this is a very popular series of books that Shudder acquired and decided to make this movie on. This movie is surprisingly good, like extremely surprisingly. There's no part of me going into Clown in the Cornfield with that type of title that I would have thought this movie would be good. But when we're introduced to Quinn at the beginning of the film with her dad going to this new town, and then her meeting these new people, their school scene shot up to introduce the friends that she has in this town that I thought was really well done because it felt authentic to what small towns are. But at the same time, we get the town's mascot is a clown. A clown that has led to a lot of people being able to live in this town. I think it was on the bottom of a syrup bottle or something that this clown was on. And these kids got together and they started filming like horror vignettes of the clown on YouTube and dropping them as videos. All of this happens, and we understand also that this fire takes place at this faculty that they blame the kids for, and then that's when all heck breaks loose here. And that's when we get the clowns picking off the teenagers one by one. I'm not going to say it's original, because it's not, and you kind of know exactly what's happening as the movie progresses, but what Clown in the Cornfield, that's the title, say it 3 times fast. Clown in the Cornfield does extremely well is that it's a comedic horror film that still manages to build great horror tension in everything that's happening here. Because as we see the kids getting picked off, you're kind of, as an audience member, while you can kind of guess what's happening here, you want to see the outcome of why these kids are being picked off and what's exactly going on. But as that story unfolds here, they also do it in a way, especially Eli does in a way where the tension is so ramped up that it can make up for little minor flaws or plot holes that you kind of see coming down the pike here. And that's, again, it's credit to the director here, Eli Craig. And this movie is directed better than it should be. If that makes any sense to anyone out there. It's because you would expect a sillier film here. And while it is a comedic horror, and this is a genre of horror that is really hard to pull off, we saw it earlier this year, to me, in a lesser attempt pulled off in The Monkey, but in a better attempt in Hard Eyes. Like, this is on par with Hard Eyes in a way they pull off the horror comedy element of it. But the characters in Clown in the Cornfield feel more realistic. Like, it's something to say when you get horror films with teenagers involved in it, but the teenagers actually act like teenagers. Like, it doesn't go out its way of a 30-year-old playing a teenager and responding like a 30-year-old playing a teenager. Here, these children move exactly like you would expect teenagers to move. And that's what helps ramp up the suspense and the kills in this film. Now, this film is not overly gory. That's another thing that I did appreciate about it. It has gore in it for sure, but it doesn't shoot it to go so far over the top where at times it can make it unwatchable. Like, the gore actually goes with the plot of the film. If that, again, I never thought I would say that in a horror movie, but the gore goes with the plot of Clown in the Cornfield. And because of the plot and the young actors doing an amazing job at selling these characters. Like, you really care about Quinn, you care about her dad, You care about the other kids in this town as they're all talking about not being blamed for something that happened. And then the ramifications that come along with that. So if you're looking for a horror movie that moves like the typical teenage slasher film, but just executed better. This is the first like true teen slasher film that I appreciated the writing and direction since like Fear Street Part 1. Like where you can acknowledge this is a well-directed film, this is a well-written film, and they understand the audience that they're aiming to go after with this film, but they also understand that if we're going to have teenagers, make them play as teenagers, even for the silly premise of clowns in a cornfield. And when you get to that second act where you get the bigger reveal of that everything that's going on, the reveal is so silly, but they handle it so well that you're still like tensed up and into the story, even though it's something that in normal films they would have failed at, so you wouldn't have cared a lick about what was happening here. But that's the beauty of Clown in the Cornfield, is that you care about these characters again. You care about the story here, because the story is very detailed, and that's, again, something you don't get in normal horror movies. It's a story that, especially horror comedies, you don't get a story this detailed. And that's what helped push everything forward in Clowns in the Cornfield. So, again, Clowns in the Cornfield, brought to you by Shudder and RLE Entertainment. This film is currently in theaters, so you can check it out. And I would say, even though it is a Shudder film, so you know it's going to go on the Shudder app, which is still the best app to possibly watch anything on. But I would still go to see this in theaters, because on the big screen, I think is what you will really enjoy this film. Out of a possible 10, I am going to give Clown in the Cornfields an 8 out of 10. This is part of a great year in horror. Like, we've had a great year in horror, and it's just continued on and on. And Clown in the Cornfield, again, it's such a joyful horror movie, to say that. Again, it's in the vein of Hard Eyes, where, yes, there's gore in it, there's killing in it, but it's still a kind of joyful movie. Like, the jokes are A1 in there. The teenagers are teenagers in Clown in the Cornfield. Like, that unto itself separates this movie from 95% of the other teenage horror films that come out. And I think any audience goes into it, you'll love the direction, you'll like the acting, but you'll love the commitment to the story. Like, they are very committed to this story. And I think that helps with the audience here. That helps build attention with the audience. That helps keeping the audience intrigued. It's because you kind of feel the passion the director has here in making sure everything came out exactly like it needed to be to make this a superior horror comedy. And that's what Clown in the Cornfield is. It is a superior horror comedy that I think you'll thoroughly enjoy. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.